Simply put, I just think this costume fits both Leona's character, Nikke's setting, and Leona's role in said setting much better than her actual standard costume. Now, what do I mean specifically? Well, fans of Leona, I think, will agree with me when I say that she's not only undisputedly the most professional and mature member of her squad, Happy Zoo, but also one of, if not the most mature character in all of Nikke, being able to act both laid back as well as to be serious whenever appropriate. Like, she really knows when to be more laid back and relax a bit, not take things too seriously, and when actually do take them seriously, to the point where in most scenes she is in, like, no matter who she's interacting with, you get the sense that she's pretty much the adult of the situation, the most mature character on screen, with very few exceptions. Whenever she's involved in an event, in a story, you get the point. Not only that, but we know from her event that her role is not only one of the most dangerous of all Happy Zoo, since Nero only deals with normal household cats and Biscuit only deals with, well, also normal household dogs, while she has to deal with actual big wild animals. And you may say, oh, but they're all Nikkes, it shouldn't be an issue, but it is, actually, because while Nikkes are obviously superhuman robots, they're not invincible. In fact, there's even a story, I believe, in either Leona's Bond or in her actual event, where she describes an event where a bunch of lions were actually able to kill a Nikke. A mass-produced one, to be fair, but still, even for a superhuman, her job is very dangerous. Not only that, but it's very controversial, as while Biscuit and Nero don't get that much shit from the public for the work they do, the fact that Leona's keeping and walking around these dangerous and big animals around the ark, especially due to the fact of them being like more wild animals, and thus there being the controversy of if they should be in the ark at all and not in nature, which is a big part of her actual event, makes her job very feared due to that danger, and very controversial, both due to the danger as well as due to this element I mentioned. And why is any of this relevant? Well, because if you notice, all of these traits contribute to why she should be wearing this costume specifically. Because while it makes sense for both of the other members to be wearing something more casual, and it's a bit of a minor point and one I will not tackle too much on this video, especially because I'll probably tackle it in another video more dedicated to it, but I really don't like Nero's design that much, even as a fan of like more fan servicey outfits, but anyway, it's not the point. The point is, both these outfits are very casual and they somewhat fit. Again, I don't like Nero's outfit on that sense, but again, minor point, tackle this later. They more or less fit the casual, like, nature of their jobs, like taking care of dogs or cats. It's more of a casual thing. You don't need like protection for that, for the most part, especially again given that these are Nikke, so even like larger dogs or more aggressive cats shouldn't be an issue for them, right? But Leona is actually dealing with wild animals, so both to put the public at ease as well as to better protect herself, she should be wearing something more professional, something more defensive, like actual protective armored equipment that people actually use to deal with and to work with dangerous animals. And this costume fits that like trainer specialized in dangerous animals job much better. It's obviously a very fan servicey version of a protective outfit, but it's one that especially fits with Nikke's setting since it's a more futuristic setting. So not only does it fit the more fan servicey nature of the game, but also like the nature of the setting of it being a sci-fi setting. It's a very good like professional protective suit for animal handlers in the future. You know, it has that vibe combined with like a dash of fan service, obviously, given the game we're talking about. So it's very good in that sense. In her actual role, it makes more sense for her to wear this out of anyone in her like squad instead of the usual like casual outfit, especially because it fits with her personality quite well. Because you might say, oh, but she is more laid back and she thinks of these wild animals as like things that you shouldn't worry about, as the same way that most people think of cats and dogs like normally, right? And so this more laid back outfit like fits more with that image, right? So the standard outfit for her actually makes more sense with her character. But I'd argue that no, because again, Leona is one of the most mature characters in Nikke. And as I said, she's able to know perfectly well when to be more laid back and more serious. And so this outfit actually fits that nature a lot better than her normal one, because what it portrays with its colors is that it's a very playful and like silly outfit that is meant to look good, or at least that's what it looks like on the surface. But at the same time, it portrays the more serious nature of her work as well, since if she was the only one wearing those clothes while again her squad mates wore something more casual, we could see both this more silly aspect again with the colors of trying to calm people down, but also portraying that this is a more dangerous job, even if she doesn't think like it, than the one that her squad mates make. And it would even again fit with this whole she knows when to be serious personality, because this really don't seem like the clothes she would wear in order to try to assuage like concerns. It sends a message of, oh no, I'm protected. If these animals go out of control, I am more than well equipped enough, both from being a Nikke as well as due to the equipment I'm carrying, to take care of the problem. It wouldn't work, obviously, and it would still cause the events of Lion's Heart to make sense and to progress the way that they do, but these just seem like the kinds of clothes that would strike that balance between being silly and approachable and putting people at ease with their colors, as well as being protective enough to put them at ease with like this idea that, oh, if these animals that I'm carrying around go out of control, I can contain them. It really does seem like these clothes that fit with both aspects of this personality quite well, and something that she would wear in response to those issues she faces in her event in order to at least try to assuage them. And so I really feel that it was a missed opportunity for Shift Up to make this into a costume instead of her standard outfit. Because if they had made like this into her standard costume, it could even show some character progression. At first, before the events of Lion's Heart, she's wearing this in order to try to minimize issues and to try to calm people down and show that it shouldn't be considered a problem for these animals to be on the ark. And when she finally gives up at the end of her event and just releases the animals, when she notices that, oh, what I try to do doesn't work and it would be better even for the animals for me to do that, then she could start wearing more casual clothes, like the ones of her squad mates, since she doesn't need to transmit this image or to try to justify the presence of these animals in the arc anymore for obvious reasons. It would be like this if it followed this progression, if this was the standard costume, and then we got in the future the actual standard costume as a more casual version, similar to the one we have for Aid, for example, I think it would really, again, not only fit the character and her role in the setting a lot better, but it could even portray more minor but still interesting story elements that could help make the event even better, at least in my view. So yeah, I just think it's a missed opportunity. Like her actual standard costume is good, and I can see why they would make this costume for Leona in order to fit more the vibe of her squad. But in hindsight, I think having released this as the standard costume and the actual standard costume as a, well, costume would have been better for her story and character, you know? I think it would have made both of them a lot more interesting, deeper, and just more well made overall. I already love Leona. Let's get this out of the way. I already love Leona. I already think she's great. But I really think this is a missed opportunity to make her even better, you know? And yes, to address the elephant in the room, this is obviously a much more sexualized costume, and it would have been really cool if it was her standard design, since that would mean that Leona would get to be, like, even without having to pay $20, a lot hotter than she is right now. Not that she's not hot, again, I really think Leona's super attractive, she's super my type, but again, it's just a missed opportunity for her to be even better, also in that more superficial sense, you know? So I know this is quite the hot take and that a lot of people are going to disagree, quite reasonably for a lot of reasons, but I just think this would have been better. This changed order would have been more interesting, you know? But I'm interested also in what you guys think about this take, and if you agree, disagree, for what reasons, you get the point. So yeah, I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about this quite silly concept I thought about in the shower, I'll be honest. And that will be it for today. If you like this video, please do all the normal YouTube stuff, you know, like, comment, subscribe, etc. And I genuinely do hope to see you next time. If you really liked it, I'd also really appreciate if you could support me financially, either through a one-time paid comment donation or by joining my membership, where for $1 a month, you get to participate in exclusive polls in order to decide which videos I'll make next. Like, which of my plans should I focus on? Which of the content I have in mind do you want to see first? You know, that kind of thing. As well as get your name put in this fancy little screen right here. You know, just as a small gesture of appreciation, exactly for your monthly support. But of course, no matter how much you choose to give me, as well as if you choose to give me anything at all, do know that I really appreciate any cent you're willing to throw my way, as well as just the fact that you're watching this video up to this point at all. But with all that stuff out of the way, I think it's finally time to, as always, bid you guys farewell. Obscure Anime out.